Coming to you live from the White Picket Realty Studios, it's the Chris and Bibi Show!
Hello. Today we have Gibran Hernandez. Hi, Gibran. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good, Christopher. How you at?
I'm wonderful, thank you. Listen, I have a very important thing I'd like to talk to you about today.
Well,
the
tell me.
Texans and the direction in which they're headed.
Sure, well... Oh, yeah, that's pretty much how the season went this year, wasn't it? I would like to do that a couple of times this year.
Okay, so basically the season's over. Where do you see them headed?
Well, we finished worst in the league. We're going to get the number one pick. The real question is, what do we do with the number one pick now?
That's a great question. With the number one pick, it's a lot of things.
So, obviously, the Texans have a lot of different needs. They need offensive linemen. They need a quarterback. They need some help on defense. We lost Brian Cushing. He may never come back with those knee injuries. So you can't really count on a guy like that.
Yeah, well, hopefully we hit that jackpot on the first round pick.
Well, I think it's really important when you think about it that you match up the new coach with a good player. Let me just give you an example.
Talking about Gary Kubiak.
Oh, Gary Kubiak. He just... Him and Schaub, they had a thing going, but it just wasn't the right thing for the Houston Texans. So now we're sitting here. We just got off of a 2-win season, lost 14 games straight. We really got to make a decision on who the coach is going to be. And the rumor mill has it that the Texans are actually pursuing Coach Bill O'Brien from the Penn State University. You heard of him yet, Chris?
I've heard of him. He's the guy that's related to that sex scandal, right?
No. Actually, Bill O'Brien, he isn't part of the sex abuse scandal. He was there during the time, and he took over the program after they got rid of Joe Paterno and all the other guys that got let go over there.
Interesting. Okay, so tell me a little about this guy. Why is he a good fit for the Texans then?
Well, you see, what I really like about Bill O'Brien, here's a guy, in college, a coach is everything. And he was able to take a program that was already in the decline, that was already having a bad time, and he was able to rev it up.
Absolutely. I would have to agree with you.
He took the program, and, they had no good players there. Or they had a few good players. A lot of players left because of the scandal. They lost all sorts of scholarships. It was just it was a massacre over there. The NCAA was basically giving them the death penalty without giving them the real death penalty.
Let me ask you this. Where did he come from? Isn't he Bill Belichick's prodigy or one of them?
Well, there's a lot of coaches that come from the background of Bill Belichick.
And what is that background like? Don't most of those guys fail?
Bill Belichick's guys?
Yeah, that whole tree line right there. I mean, those guys, after they branch off and they try to do their thing, they're worthless without Tom Brady and Belichick, aren't they?
Well, but you got to remember, Bill Belichick may be a good coach, but he wasn't exactly the best coach either. It wasn't until he got Tom Brady that he actually started winning. Prior to that, he actually had losing seasons.
Yeah, okay, great. So now we got the coaching figured out. What do we do with the number one draft pick?
So everyone's talking about it. Everyone knows about it. There's a guy out there. He's on fire. Better call the ambulance here and the fire truck. His name is Teddy Bridgewater. He's a quarterback out of Louisville. He's not from outer space.
Interesting. Bridgewater's your choice, huh?
Well, it depends. If we get Bill O'Brien, a guy like Bill O'Brien, he's really good at coaching quarterbacks. He can take a guy that's mediocre and really make him shine, make him one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Sort of how Alex Smith now looks like a really good quarterback here with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, great. So you got your quarterback, you've got your coach. What's the third move? A lot of people want Rick Smith out of there.
Well, Rick Smith, what do you do with him? That's the real question. I think he's going to be around for a while. You got to remember, man, the ownership of the Houston Texans, it's a pretty weak ownership group. He doesn't make a lot of harsh decisions. He kept Kubiak around for probably 3 or 4 extra years that Kubiak had no business being there.
Interesting. So you don't think it's the same thing perhaps with Rick Smith?
Well, I think Rick Smith is going to be around for a couple more years until they finally realize that he's not worth a darn, and then they're going to go ahead and get rid of him too.
By those years, they won't have any fans left.
Oh, but that's the thing. Everyone talks about loyal fan bases, and I'll tell you one thing. Houston has some of the most loyal fans out there.
I don't know about that. You probably have some people who would disagree with you.
Yeah? Well, let's go ahead and take a caller on the air, somebody who would disagree with me.
All right, we're here with our first caller, Alan. Alan, how are you doing?
Oh, Oh, I'm doing all right.
You want to talk about them Texans? What do you got to say?
Well, I was just wondering what you guys thought about the fan base. You know, is it a loyal fan base? What's everybody out there saying about this season? And do we still have any fans left?
Yeah. I think we do have a few. What do you think, Gibber?
Well, I think we've got some good fans here in Houston. I
Thank
think
you
we've
for that
got
call, Alan.
some of the best fans here. Well, what's your opinion on it, though, Alan?
You know, I tell you, I see a lot of people that are really disappointed with this season, and some people are diehard fans that I really love. And I see a lot of other people that are flaking out with, I say, you know, they shouldn't even live. They're not going to be loyal fans.
Sure. And what are you? Are you a loyal fan or are you one of the other ones?
I'm a diehard fan, man. I don't care how bad we lose. We could be the absolute worst team. Wait a minute. We're not the worst.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. We are the worst.
Wrap that up.
All right, Alan. Well, we appreciate that call, and make sure you call back in. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to drop the call here, and we're going to go ahead and go to our first commercial break. Brought to you by White Picket Realty.
The #1 Houston-based real estate investment rehab company.
Have you ever wanted to become a real estate investor? Have you thought about how can I break into the real estate world? Well, White Picket Realty is here to help. And me and Chris, we've been at White Picket Realty before. We know how they treat you over there.
They're good people.
They're a couple of good guys. They're going to teach you how to start making money in real estate, even if you don't have any money in your pocket. You give them a call, 832-790-2578. You tell them that BB and Chris sent you on the air, and they'll even give you a discount on your first mentorship. Ain't that right, Chris?
Yeah, that's right. They took care of me for sure.
Faux show.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Now that we've covered those Texans, let's move on to them Houston Rockets, shall we?
All right. Well, Chris, I want to know your thought. You're an old basketball player. You're an old chump, and when it comes to the basketball game, what do you think about the Rockets this year? And how do you feel about their acquisition of old Dwight Howard?
Oh boy, I tell you what, man, them Rockets are looking good this year. They lost last night against OKC, but I think they're gonna still come out on top and make it to the playoffs.
But they didn't just lose, my friend. They really got. They got it handed to them.
I understand that, but you have to keep in mind that there's over 100 games played in a basketball season, and you can't get down on one.
You're sure. You're right there because
this is
December.
A marathon, not a sprint.
We got to make it to April and see where we're at. You think Dwight will be able to stay healthy the whole season?
Going back to Dwight Howard, I think he was an excellent acquisition. The only issue, though, they got to keep him healthy. They got to make sure that he plays limited minutes early on, stretch him out to the playoffs, and let him and Harden do their thing.
Well, and with Greg Smith and Omer Ashik both out, how do you get him those limited minutes? What's your game plan there?
You go back to 2010 Rockets and you play small ball. You play fast, you play quick. Fast points breaks are the easiest points to make.
But what do you think about the whole Rockets mentality where they don't really want to take the contested twos anymore? They're all about the three-pointer or going to the paint. How do you feel about that?
Well, there's no way around it. You got to be equally well-rounded. You cannot concentrate on threes and be weak in the paint, and vice versa. They need to be well-established all the way around the field. Absolutely.
And how do you feel about old Jeremy Lin, man? Some people think he was a good pickup. Some people think he was okay. Well, what's your thought on Jeremy Lin?
The guy's a hooper, man. He's a Chinese hooper, and I love it.
All right. Well, we've had a good Chinese man here in Houston before. Everyone remembers him, old Yao Ming, but he was a little bit of a disappointment. In your mind, has Jeremy Lin been a disappointment so far?
So far, I would have to say no. I mean,
let's
look at it real quick.
He did get the huge contract.
Let's look at it real quick, all right? The Rockets have Lin for a year or two. They'll let him go to New York. They ask him to come back like an old girlfriend. And this guy's producing, man. He's producing. You can't ask much more from them. The team is looking pretty solid right now. But I'm a little concerned about their strength of schedule there towards the end.
Well, officially right now, they've got their strength of schedule rated about a 580, which isn't bad. I think the highest strength of schedule in the NBA is a 620. And so 580, we're doing all right. The highest strength of schedule so far has been the Indianapolis Pacers, but, man, they've been killing it. They've looked real good this season.
Yeah, they're playing the Miami Heat tonight. But they are.
All right, then. Well, that's been our first podcast radio show for you guys. This is BB and Chris here on the radio. You can check us out every morning at 11 a.m. We're going to be doing a live air broadcast, a Google Hangout broadcast here from our studio. And you can check us out. Ain't that right, Chris?
Yep, that's right. Big winners, chicken dinners.
All right, folks. You guys take care out there, Houston, and stay classy.
Good night.